Welcome to Chattin 88. If you're just tuning in, hey, that's great. Every single week we have a guest, 'cause spending time with me, oh, spending time with me, spending time with me is the best. Hi, everybody, and welcome to Chattin 88's at 8. I'm Curtis Labelle, your host, and what an evening we have lined up for you. Our guest tonight is Kate Davies, A&R and label representative. She is she's a force to be reckoned with. She's extremely knowledgeable in this area. She's been working with CTV's The Launch, a casting agent and label representatives for a lot of different record labels here in Canada, and she has some knowledge for us indie artists and all of us artists across the nation and the world who is going to be tuning in for this. What to do, what not to do, how to do all the negotiating, and what to look for when signing a record label. Is a record label good for you? We have more questions for her from our guests, and we are going to have a blast of a time. But before we do, let's talk about what's been happening in the world today. I know that we are still not able to be sitting down in front of an audience, but find a way to engage with your audience by spending some time online and do some live streaming if you can. I know myself, I have a release party happening this Friday. Did you like that segue? So January 29th, I'm doing a release party for my newest single release, Run, Run Away, which is going to be coming out on midnight, or 12 a.m. in the morning, I should say, on the 29th. I'm super excited for it. And, I'm not going to be doing any live shows as much as I'd like to be doing for streaming this year. However, one of the things that I will be doing for all the songs that I'm going to be releasing in 2021 is a streaming party. We're going to sing some music. We're going to have a lot of fun. So if you're around and you would like to tune in on that, that'll be on Curtis Labelle Music Facebook channel. Needless to say, I think if you can also spend some time tuning in to other artists who are doing live stream, there is so much music out there. Even though we haven't been able to do it live in person at a venue, we certainly have the opportunity to be tuning in with other people and friends and family across the globe. I know I've made a bunch of friends and industry professionals in communication and connecting with them over this past 20 year. It has been amazing, and I'm tuning in and watching shows with them. So we are not we're not hiding. We're not anywhere that is under a rock somewhere. We are doing live music, and I speak for all the musicians. I think it's safe to say that we're doing what it takes in order to keep bringing you all this amazing music. And speaking of amazing music, why don't we have a little treat? I'm going to sing Run, Run Away for you, my single that's coming out not tomorrow, on Friday. Don't wait for the postman, he don't have anything to give ya. These city nights are out to get ya. Don't wait for another, you'll be holding on to time forever. These boozy eyes are out to get ya. Run, run away, run, run away. Hey, 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 run, run away, run, run away. Run, run away, run, run away. Hey, 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 run, run away, run, run away. Don't worry, no lie, no cheat. Go on and carry me and hold me outside. These city nights are out to get ya. Don't say hello to the one you know who doesn't want to be around you. These boozy eyes are out to get ya. Run, run away, run, run away. Hey, 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 run, run away, run, run away. Run, run away, run, run away. Hey, 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 run, run away. Don't worry, fight the fight you always had to. Don't worry, the walls ain't coming down around you. Run, run away, run, run away. Run, run away, run, run away. Hey, 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 run, run away, run, run away. Run, run away, run, run away. Hey, hey, run, run away, run away. Oh, it's a hot song. It's a great song. I'm biased. I'm sorry. I think it's a hit, and I'm really excited. A quick shout out to Rock 104.5. Thank you so much for supporting me in this release. They are going to be playing it, as I've been told on the interview, for the rest of my life. I guess they've said that I'm not going to be able to get rid of them. So cheers to you. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I love you, and your support is fantastic. All right, let's move right into Canadian music history. Canadian music history. In the 2000s, this is interesting. In the 2000s, we had Nickelback and Avril Lavigne era. That was a rise to fame in many different eyes, and also, a lot of people didn't really like those two individuals. However, Nickelback and Avril Lavigne defined Canadian music in the 2000s, and in the spirit of actual commercial success. They really came through the woodworks, and they shot right through. They were unique in their own way. They created their own styles. They really went through their own process. However, some of it not in a good way. First came Nickelback, whose sterile brand of post-grunge arena rock made them, by many accounts, the most hated band of all time. I'll admit I'm a Kurt Cobain fan, and I really also enjoy Nickelback very much. And there's something to be said about an artist's journey and where they go through things, and how they accomplish their music and how they create their music. And Nickelback being one of the greatest. The difference in the, what am I trying to say? I love watching the journey, and I do a lot of comparison. Kurt Cobain, Nickelback, Avril Lavigne, wherever they're from and whatever they create, everybody goes through experiences, and I really enjoy watching, Nickelback go through their experience as well. However, though technically they were actually one of the most popular rock bands going, so that paradox is quite interesting to begin with. And like real life, Avril Lavigne appeared in 2002 with a pop version of the Punk Rebellion. So, they both came and rise to the occasion and had a great experience. And, we went we went from Britney Spears to Nickelback and Avril Lavigne, and then we move on in the 2000s, and now we're in 2021. So that's very exciting. 2008, Justin Bieber YouTubes his way to Your Little Sister's Heart. Yes, he did. Absolutely. Nobody knew about YouTube, and it was in the era of MySpace and the heyday of American Idol. And so it was good on Justin Bieber's mom for pushing him, well, not pushing him, but, starting to record him and put his music on YouTube. And then all of a sudden, here you go, in the events that led him to the music management with Scooter Braun, Usher, and signing on with Island Records. So that's really cool. That's exciting. And you never know what's going to happen with an artist who's working his way through or her way through an experience in the music industry. And it's interesting how, what a great segue into our show today to be talking about, A&R representatives and record labels, and when is it right? And did Justin Bieber sign at the right time? Should he have not have signed? Who knows? We all have an opinion, but one day, hopefully, maybe I'll do an interview with him and we'll sit down, or maybe I'll write a song with him. Wouldn't that be cool? That'd be very exciting. And his latest album, Purpose, well, not his latest album. His latest album is Changes, but when Purpose came out, it's something of a comeback after years of bad publicity, because he didn't have the greatest publicity for the longest time. But a lot of artists don't. And we all have a different experience, and we all have ups and downs. And media is media. We all connect each other on a different way. So, we have Nickelback and the Avril era, and then we move into Justin Bieber. And it's been a great experience. I know that I've enjoyed watching their music and listening to their music, and I appreciate them. They're Canadians, and go on that. That is absolutely fantastic. Today we are going to be featuring Sagan Pierce. He is a Toronto Canadian, and this is right off of his website. So this is a great artist, and he has just finished releasing his new single "Haunted," which is now out on all streaming platforms. And follow him on YouTube at Hollow Sage Music, and this is about him. You shouldn't know it from his deep, poignant lyrics and chilling melodies, but singer-songwriter Sagan Pierce has only been writing music for 3 years. A managing funeral director by day. It catches me off guard for that. Managing funeral director by day, Sagan started composing his own songs after singing at a weekly open mic, quickly amassing a catalog of music, a dedicated fan base, and the attention of industry veterans. So he's really making his name out there. Let me tell you, this man is an amazing artist, drawing inspiration from poet Shane Koizakan, musical artists Dan Mangan, Mark Berube, Scott Hutchinson, and Justin Vernon. His work is on the front lines of human grief and his own assemblage of life lessons. Sagan does not shy away from the addressing of the shadow side of human nature through articulate, brilliantly composed songs about death and dying, broken homes, senseless violence, and sinister dances with the monsters of altered states. Ha! Funeral director by day, fabulous artist by night. Isn't that amazing? Go check him out on Hollow Sage. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our host. That's me. Please welcome our guest for tonight, Kate Davies, A&R label representative. She is fabulous. She's going to tell you more about herself. But let's welcome her to the show for tonight's evening. Kate!
Hello.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm on top of the world. You know, I feel like I've made a reference tonight, about something else, but I'm not. I don't know. I have to go back and listen to it later, and then of course correct myself if I've made a mistake. I'm not sure, but we were just giving a highlight about Sagan Pierce, who was on the shot as well, and
Right.
he just came out with his new single, "Haunted." Have you listened to it?
I have actually. Yeah, he sent it to me.
Isn't it interesting? Isn't it neat how I love how the topic is, what it is, and it's such an uplifting sound to his song. It's quite oxymoronic. I really enjoy it.
Yeah, it's really cool. And I saw he had like a lyric video shot for it, which I was impressed he did during COVID, because I was like, well, I guess Haunted is a good thing to shoot a video for, because you don't need a whole lot of people for
No,
the
just
video.
a white bed sheet and a couple of holes in it. Away you go.
Yeah, exactly.
And you know what? It served its purpose. It did it well. But let's move on to you. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We have we're gonna ask some questions, but before we go into all the nitty gritty and helping us indie artists, and even artists who are already signed to a label that might be wanting to figure out a way to get out of it. Let's talk about you. Where are you from? Give us a little bit about you before you went into the music industry, and how did you evolve into where you are today?
Well, basically, music has kind of always been in my blood. So my parents are both, my dad's in the music industry. He's a music publisher, originally born in England, similar to Dania, which I didn't realize her father was born there as well. And my father moved over to Canada when he was like 25.
Oh,
And
really?
he worked in publishing and still does. And he started the Canadian Songwriters Hall of Fame as well.
No way. Your dad did.
He did, yeah.
Both you and Dania have dads that have started something really, really cool. That's exciting to me. I got so excited about Dania's dad doing Canadian Music Week, and your dad, Canadian Singers Hall of Fame. That is fantastic.
Yeah, so and then my mom.
I'm gonna be there one day. I'm gonna be in that Hall of Fame one day.
I hope so. So my mom, she is a singer, and she was in musical theater. So she was in the original production of Hair back in the 1970s. Yeah.
Oh my God, we stop, look at one another, short of breath, walking da 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 da. Oh, I love it.
Yeah. So obviously I had to be in music or do something completely different. So I set out to do I mean, music has always been in my blood. That was my point, is
Right.
I've grown up with it. I've been A&Ring since I was 1 year old, basically, because my dad would put cassette tapes in the car and we would drive to different places and he'd be like, what would you change about this demo and that? And so from a really early age, I was always commenting on music and coming up with new ideas. So even though I strayed from the path a couple times, I came back to it in my early 20s and kind of haven't looked back since.
Well, you're still in your early 20s, so
Yeah.
it's the lighting. Now I know the secrets to your little studio here, but I won't give I won't give
The
it away.
forest.
The forest. I know the secrets to the forest and how the lighting looks so good. You're just an angel. um, all right. So how long have you been? I know you said you started at the age of 1, but as a business, if you will, in the industry, because the industry is, it's cutthroat, it really is, and it's evolved and it's changed a lot over the years. So how long have you been doing this as a profession?
Over 10 years. So I would say probably 12 years closer to now that I've been professionally in the industry. So I started out at EMI actually, doing some kind of like intern work
Right.
there. So I was scouting for them. I went to CMW for them, did all the festivals. And then I moved from there to the Feldman Agency, which
Mm-hmm.
is a booking agency in Canada, one of the biggest ones in Canada. So I did A&R for them. Booking agents, a lot of the time, they're so focused on their shows and what's happening with their current artists that I kind of brought a new thing into their company, which was looking for new artists to add to their roster, while they were booking everyone current. And then from there, I went to Universal Music, and that's when I started a scouting program. So I had 80 scouts across the country, and basically they would go to shows in Vancouver, Calgary, New Brunswick, everywhere, and report back to me with who they'd seen. And I set up kind of like a system for them to get rewarded based on how much their artist was liked by our team, and they would get recognition with our team as well at Universal. So I did that for a few years, and then I moved to the launch after that and did A&R and artist relations there.
And how long did CTV's The Launch air for?
Well, that was for 2 seasons, so that ended up being 3 years total, full time. Because
Why did it stop? Just I know where I don't want to get off topic, but why did The Launch stop? If you're able to share that.
well, there's not a particular reason other than they wanted to regroup and reevaluate how it would look. TV is changing all the time right
Right.
now.
Yeah.
So, I mean, with streaming and everything, there's a big difference between what works on streaming and what works on regular television. So, I think it was just more of a let's take a pause and evaluate. And then obviously COVID happened, which is seems to be a very common excuse for a lot of things stopping, which is understandable. But unfortunately, when things like that happen, sometimes you do have to take a bit of a pause,
The pause is
longer
okay.
pause.
Yeah, and the pause is okay, but just on the side note too, I'd have to, I've been saying that a lot of great things have been coming out of COVID.
Oh, for sure.
Like I can't, but CJ had said it. CJ had said it. He didn't coin the phrase, but when there's no opportunity, there's a lot of opportunity to be created, and I can certainly say just because using the excuse, oh, I can't perform, I can't do a live show, we can't do tours, we can't do this. We're in the age of technology, and we're doing things like this, having talk shows. We can do live streaming. There's so many things. Daniel's doing CM. Canadian Music Week is going all on. Everybody's doing the adaptation of what needs to be. So I think some good has come from COVID.
Oh, me too. I think
And
creatively, and it's really cool that stuff like this has become so normal too. I feel like at first we were all trying to figure out how it worked and what this would look like. Oh, and is it awkward if my dog walks by in the background? But now I think everyone's kind of adjusted, and it's just the new norm.
It is, and which makes it even more exciting when we actually do get to have tangible experiences being in front of people and feeding off of their energy. It'll
Yeah,
be like Christmas again. I know Jen was saying it'll be like the 1920s again in Paris. It'll just be riveting and it'll be so
totally.
exciting.
Yeah,
I'm looking forward
100%.
to it. Okay. Let's dive right into our questions, ladies and gentlemen, for this lovely lady we have here today on our game show called Chattin' 80. Maybe I'm going to have a game show now called Chattin' 88s.
You should.
I don't. Careful what you wish for. This talk show is CJ. He said you got to do a talk show, Curtis, and here we are. This is our 22nd episode, and this is season 2. So if you watch, we'll do a game show. See, now all I can think about is a game show, and I'm figuring out what games we can do.
Well, that'd be fun. Like a
You,
music industry game show.
oh,
I don't know.
you're
I don't think that's been done before
oh,
that I know of.
take that, Bob Barker. Okay, what does an A&R representative stand for?
So basically, it means artists and repertoire. So it's artists and the work that they create. So a lot of people surprisingly don't know that. And I don't blame you, because repertoire is not a word that is said very often. A lot of people think it means either accounts receivable or, which is that's not what I do at all.
But no, but it's true though. I used the word repertoire on a student of mine the other day, and they said repertoire. I said the music you're singing, honey.
Right. Like a fancy old school way of saying your music.
Okay, and so as an A&R, artist and repertoire, why are you so important in the music industry, and why should artists be paying attention to you, and researching who you are and getting to know you? Why are you so important?
Well, basically, A&Rs are the gatekeepers of the label in a lot of ways. So the first person that you are going to have an interaction with at any label is going to be an A&R person. They also are more than that. They're not just your first person. If they believe in you and they really want you part of the label, they're going to continue to advocate for you throughout that time that you're signed. So it's not like, oh, once your music, is liked by the A&R, you're signed. It's not like you move on to another department. They're always going to be your point of contact from day one, for marketing, for getting new photos taken, pretty anything to do with your career. They're your advocate for the label.
So it's safe to say that first impressions are key, not just your music or your EPK or the product that you're producing, but the actual demeanor of how you speak to somebody, and the humbleness and the professionalism and the quality that you present is extremely important, is it not?
For sure. I think pitches have become not just about music, not just about sending in, your latest demo or a mixtape or whatever you want to send in. It's really about who you are as a person, because you're going to be working so closely with this person. They're as close to you as your manager would be, essentially. Just from a slightly different perspective, because A&Rs are usually with the label versus your manager is your personal person you've hired. So yeah, first impressions are huge, and I always encourage artists to work on their pitches to people. So kind of like your elevator pitch,
Can you
know
give
who
us
you are.
Yeah, can you give us a little bit of a checklist, or not a checklist, but what is an A&R label representative? What are you looking for whenever you're speaking to an artist with their pitch? What are you pulling out?
Basically, the main thing I want to know is that you're going to work as hard, if not harder, than I am to make something happen with your career. And I think a big part of that is, I always say, be the CEO of your own business as an artist.
Right.
You want to treat your career like you are the CEO of your company. And that makes a big impression on an A&R. It doesn't mean you have to know every answer to everything. And it doesn't mean you have to be outgoing, or, those things don't matter. If you're a shy artist or an introverted artist, be you, but be an authentic version of you,
Hmm.
and know your stuff. And then, we're impressed by that. Because at the end of the day, you're a human being. I don't expect some, marketing pitch with graphs and, like it doesn't have
and
to be
and and
really
the
formal.
and the financial return on your repertoire for the
Yeah,
accounting
yeah,
purposes, right?
yeah.
Can a label help an indie artist streamline their business and operations, even though you know that the artist itself has to continue? So, okay, so the relationship. So we've gained a relationship between the artist and the A&R, and you continue on with whatever's needed for the label. That doesn't mean that the artist stops being the CEO, if you will, or running the company, running their business as a company. So, at
Mhm.
what point does an indie artist get any streamlined help with their business and operations from a label if they sign on?
So in terms of like, so if once an indie artist signs to a label, you mean, when do they
Yeah, yeah,
start to?
yeah, absolutely.
I mean, pretty much day one. Like, I mean, it depends on the label, but usually majors, the deal takes a little bit longer to go through, right? Because there's the negotiation period, figuring out how the deal's going to look and everything. But once that's been completed, and you basically start on your plan. So, often that's going to be, let's do 3 singles and see where it goes. That's kind of the norm right now.
Hmm.
Sometimes an EP, if it's a more established artist that's moving from label to label, an album, but those are more rare now. So in terms of streamlining, it really depends where the artist is at in their career. Um, the artist
And
gets signed. Go ahead.
no, no. So, just to go off on that, depending on where they are. Oh, I just lost my thought. The Basically nowadays, and as we said, as you guys present on the shot,
Mhm.
if you will, as being an artist development program more so than a competition, if you will. Um, the label is looking for the artist to have done most of the work, all that prep work. What are they doing to promote themselves? How are they running their business, etc. That responsibility doesn't change when the label is signed, when they sign on with a label. Is that correct? Or how much of that responsibility is handed over to the label?
Oh, yeah. I mean, still the decision making process should still, the artist should still be a huge part of that. And obviously, in terms of writing songs, collaborating with artists, but you're going to have an extra helping hand that you didn't have before. So, let's say I go, okay, I think you would do really well with this songwriter. I'm going to set you guys up. That would be me setting them up, as opposed to before it was just you reaching out to writers and hoping you would collaborate with some of them, kind of thing. Or, here's a budget for a photo shoot we can do together, as opposed to you doing that yourself. So there's definitely more of a help in terms of, we're going to set these things up for you
Mm-hmm.
more, because we have the
So,
contact. The label usually
right.
has a lot of contacts, so they'll be like, okay, we're going to go with this, and then this is the budget we have as well. And that's just from the label perspective, right? Because A&Rs do exist outside of labels as well to help indie artists. So that's a whole different story.
And about the business side, let's say the numbers side, if you will. So the artist has been okay. So the indie artist has been, they have their whiteboard. I know myself as an indie artist. I have my whiteboard is with all my numbers, my calendars all over the place, planned out for the year, and all this stuff. And budgets here and budgets there, and how much does this cost? So then the label comes in, and we're not talking about X amount of money being handed out. We'll get to that in a second. But let's say the accounting purposes of it, does the artist continue to do that themselves, or does the label come in and start to help them with that as well?
That's also a case by case, but usually the label will get assigned to cover the budgets for things and like handle the money side of things as well. And that also depends on the deal. You can also have deals where that's not exclusively happening, but for the most part, usually the admin in A&R will take care of, okay, this music video costs this much, we'll input it here, and keep account of all of that stuff.
Right. What's the biggest? What's the Okay, so just a second here. Let me move on to this question. When do you've had X amount of artists come to you. You've seen all these different experiences when an artist is here at a certain level. When do you know when an artist is ready? Besides uh, being authentic, their music is good, and all that. When are they ready to realize? Are they signing on for X amount of money for a label? And I mean the bigger labels, Sony Music Canada, Universal, MGM, all those bigger label companies, are they still handing over, here is X amount of money, go do this, and then give us the return, and then all that stuff, and then at the end of the day, the art, depending on the arrangement in the contract and the negotiation, does the artist walk away with any money? And if not, or if so, what has been some of the biggest changes you've seen in the industry for art, for labels changing and to support the artist rather than rob the artist?
I mean, I think there's, and again, this is all, it's always going to be different. But I think, historically, labels have been painted as a them versus the artist relationship.
Right.
I think, stereotypically, let's say,
Yep.
where the big business is wanting to get something from the artist and not give much in return. And I've seen that happen, but I've also seen a lot of cases where that absolutely is not the intention. And I've seen more and more over the years how deals have become fairer and fairer and more like partnerships.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, labels are there to put up the money, a lot of the advance money, and for their contacts, and also for just pretty much like the ins they have in certain areas. So, like radio, for example, a lot of radio slots are dedicated to some of the bigger labels because they're churning out some really big artists. And unfortunately, it's, that's just the way that it's traditionally gone. But with things like Spotify, and other streaming services, it's made the playing field a lot more even. And that's why we're seeing so many more indie artists just kind of doing it on their own until they feel like a label is the right choice for them, or, or they don't, or they just keep going indie.
So it's automatically making sure that that artist is educated enough to realize should they sign or should they not, and at what point does the artist feel like they need a label to take them to that next level for their music to be heard more, to get, I don't want to use the word fame or stardom, but the next level where that artist is moving up into a bigger audience and they're reaching a different, it's just a whole different ball game when you're in a different playing, when you know the next level. How do you know, how does an artist know whenever they are ready for that?
I think in this day and age, it's pretty much when you feel like you can't handle your day to day anymore yourself. So it's like,
What does that look
you
like?
know, so for a booking agency, for example, a lot of the time artists will think, oh, I want to sign with a booking agency because they'll get me so many more gigs. This is what I need in my career. I've built up I know who I am as an artist. I know my audience. I need this booking agent. But technically, they shouldn't really come in until you're getting so many bookings that you need to move up to the next level, kind of thing. Like you're completely booked out at the clubs. Like you're in demand. They don't, you can do it yourself until you can't anymore. And then that's when you need a booking agent, you know?
Yeah. Do you think that the other responsibilities of an artist is going to look? I know for myself, I'm spending countless of hours, on the computer, making connections, speaking to radio stations, other artists. I'm not so much booking the shows now because of COVID, but all the other things, all the other responsibilities and duties of running a business. All right, so from the financial end to the creative end to the people that are underneath. I don't want to say underneath you, but the people that are supporting you with the business, may it be
Mhm.
a booking manager or all that stuff. At what point do you just sit back and go, or let me, for myself, at what point do I sit back and go, okay, I can only focus on so much now. I mean, there's the juggling of creating the music, rehearsing with the band, getting into studio time, fundraising for the funds in order to pay for the studio time. Also booking the shows. Say we were pre-COVID, booking the shows, traveling, making sure you have all of this done, doing your taxes, everything that's related
Mhm.
to running a business. At what point do you sit back and go, whoa, I have to move on to the next, or the next step is now for me. What am I going to be looking for?
And it's pretty much exactly what you said. It's when you get to that point where, well, first of all, I think when you're at that point and if you don't have a manager, you should absolutely find a manager. That should be almost the first thing on your list
Right.
before anything, before a label is talked about, before official representation from that side is talked about. A manager is a great asset because they can speak on your behalf as well. So, I know it's awkward for an artist sometimes to reach out to a club, let's say, and say, okay, I'd love to play a gig at your club, signed the artist. You almost want it to come from someone else
Right.
so that when you start talking about money and payment and things like that, you have that separation between the business person and
I, I
yourself.
I know exactly what you're saying, because it just came to, it got to a point for myself where it just doesn't feel right needing to book shows anymore. Having myself as the, maybe the face of what I am, but it just felt unprofessional being the one to negotiate and to do, and then show up for the show and then tear down your instrument and then walk out with
It's hard.
with your $150 because that's all the venue could pay. And then
It's
it's
hard because you're the performer, right? So you want to fulfill that role, and it's awkward from your perspective to have to be like, so the payment is a month past due, like
yeah,
you want
right.
it's so weird. So definitely an artist manager is 100%
Is it
the
Adele's
person.
song that she wrote? Was it 13 when she wrote Chasing Pavements?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to write a song called Chasing Payments, because I definitely I think I'm still chasing a senior's home from 3 years
Oh,
ago.
it
I'm not,
happens.
it does. And I think it goes, I think it's part and partial of the job, because that's that's the business we chose to do. That's the outlet we as artists, especially if we're doing it as a full-time job and not as a hobby. If you're doing it as a hobby, then that's a whole different conversation. But so getting a manager, you say, is that next step to help you as an artist. For those indie artists that are listening and watching, going to rewatch this, if they're sitting there in their house going, okay, I'm done with chasing this, I'm done with doing that, my next step obviously is a manager, correct?
Yeah. Yeah, if you're feeling overwhelmed, that you want to be your first step before jumping to a label, because I feel like it's important to have that team member on your side, and knowing they have your back and they have probably some contacts in the industry too, and they can help you out in that way. Yeah, I'm
Very
not
exciting.
pushing artists away from the labels. I'm just saying
No,
there's more you can do before you get to that point.
there's a lot of I's to dot and T's to cross in this industry, and we have
Yeah,
to, you don't want to jump hurdles and then miss some of the steps. I think there's every piece to the puzzle in this business.
for
How
sure.
does Okay, so I've signed a contract. I've been with this record label now for 3 years, and they are screwing me over. And I have a lawyer, and I'm fighting this, and I'm taking it to court, and all that. How the hell do I get out of a contract that has 17 million different clauses? This is this. This is this. Remuneration. This. Chasing payments. This. How do I
Yeah,
get out of it?
I mean, that's also, it all depends again on the situation, but for, in general, if you're an artist, let's say you were an emerging artist, 3 years with a label, you've done quite well, you may not have like blown up yet. Usually you can have a discussion with the label first.
Right.
You'll have regular discussions with them anyway on how the progress has been, whether they want to option you again, which means depending on how long your term is for the agreement, they might want to extend it
Do you think
for
it's
longer.
important to have? Do you think it's important to have a label? To have a label, sorry. Do you think it's important to have a lawyer or somebody with you to
Oh,
go
yes,
through all of that with you before you do anything?
1,000%. And
even
it's
even as
expensive.
in even as indie labels, so because we're changing for indie labels that are wanting to support the artist rather than gouge the artist, the negotiations might be a little bit um, lighter, if you will, and there might be a little bit more room for growth in many different ways. Is it still important then to have somebody with you?
I think it's always important, if you can, to have a lawyer look over the agreement. And you know, I don't think labels, I haven't come across a label in my experience and contracts I've seen at majors that's looking to gouge an artist. Obviously, you know, there will be back and forth, right? So the contract you're presented with isn't necessarily like you have to sign this or you're not getting signed. There's always a negotiation process. So if something really doesn't sit well with you and your lawyer thinks, this is a
Right.
little too long of an agreement, you can push back on that.
What are some things what are some negotiating not tactics, but what are some things we should look out for as artists? Like key words or key things to pay attention to when we're reading a contract.
I guess how long it is, what the options look like. So, you know, one option could be 3 singles, right?
Mm-hmm.
For the first one. The next one, if you fulfill so and so, could be an EP of 5 to 6 songs. Like,
Right.
take a look at what's expected of you. Take a look at what the label is promising you on their end. Like, what are they going to fulfill for you as well? Um, and yeah, how long it is a big thing. I think that's a big one. And I think that's changed over the years from going from longer to shorter.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, contracts are changing all the time, and I think that they're becoming a lot more. It just, the business has changed, right?
So
So
the artist would be interviewing the label and hiring the label, if you will, right? So the labels, you want to make sure that the label is working for you.
yeah, like, don't sign anything if it doesn't feel like the right fit. It's not the right fit, and it happens. And that's why sometimes, if there's an artist that's really buzzing,
Right.
you can get like 4 labels after them at the same time offering different deals because they all want the artist, and the artist ultimately in that case is kind of deciding which one fits the best for them or none.
So we get to know the artist. We get to know the A&R. We get to relationship. We do this. We keep it going. After we sign the label, we're still best friends with the A&R. We're buddy buddy. We're working it out. We're going to shows together. We're keeping the relationship tight, bonded, and professional. How does where can an artist find an A&R? Where would they look?
Well, I would say an A&R will find you. So a good A&R will find an artist. And the way that you will get found is by, being consistent, making sure, first of all, make sure you know who you are as an artist, make sure you
Mm-hmm.
know who you want to target as your audience, what your sound is, be consistent in the way that you're posting online, post regularly, and make sure you're on multiple social media platforms. Um, Honestly, the number one thing for an A&R is we like to discover music. I feel like back in the day, it was a combo. It was A&Rs going to shows all over the world, flying all over the place,
Right.
and artists sending in demos, literally sending in their music, and A&Rs listening to the CDs, listening to the tapes. That's definitely how it used to be. Now a lot of labels don't want to accept it. They will of course accept music, but that's just not the way it's done anymore. It's more like on us to make sure we find you, because you have to be making enough noise that we find you. And trust me, A&R is a good A&R is like an FBI agent. We will find you some way.
Okay, so so for those who are watching, be loud, be okay. I say be loud, be aggressive, be but positive aggressive. I mean, like you
Yeah.
say, be consistent,
Hmm.
be on top of your business and making sure that you are being heard, without hounding and without knocking on the doors and kicking down the doors and be like, hey, listen to me, listen to me, listen to me.
Yeah,
Be representative in your own way, the right way, if you will.
for sure. And that's not to say not to network, because networking is fantastic. And you can look on LinkedIn and find, who's the head of A&R here or who works there. That's super easy to find. Just generally, there's been more success, I think, when the A&R reaches out to the artist, because then they're passionate. Then they're like, oh my God, I love this. I want to
Okay,
find out more.
so if the artist is sitting excited and going, "Oh my God, it's been years and an A&R has not found me, but yet they're doing everything under the sun and they are just out there in their own authentic self, like literally checked off the list, boom, done, and not found by an A&R." I know that doesn't mean it'll never happen, but how do we encourage that artist to stay positive?
For sure. No, I get it. And I think a big part of that is, I'm not saying don't reach out. I'm just saying, like, even if it's something like you do find that person on LinkedIn, oh, this could be the person that could make a difference for me. Send them a quick message and be like, hey, would love to, I really respect what you do. Would love to ask you a few questions sometime, or
Right.
something, just something simple.
So it leads
More
back
of
to
a
connection.
networking opportunity as opposed to like, here's my music kind of thing.
Right. I love it. Okay, so connection again. That word has come back. Connection is key, and I think that's the secret. That's the secret to the success in the music business is connection,
Yeah.
and following up with that connection and making
Hmm.
sure that it's there and you are representing on all parties what you need to be for the business. Kate, is it? Are we allowed to talk about the project you're doing with another certain someone, or is that still
Uh,
secret?
it's still being worked on. It's in its early stages, but all I can say is look out for something in the early spring.
Very cool.
New project, new music project. It's going to be really awesome, especially for emerging artists.
Well, I can certainly say that I like the name of it. I absolutely love the name of it, and I'm super excited to see where it goes for your adventures on it. I wish you all the best with it, and it's going to be something that I think is going to take off by storm. And
Thank you.
it's nice to see the reasons behind it. I think the why is what's important, and that's what makes it. That's what's going to make it stand out. I know the audience or the people who are watching is like, "What is it? What is it?" But as
Well, I
Kate
can talk
says,
about the why. If
yeah,
basically the
talk about the why. Absolutely, in a short, condensed version.
Yes, the very short why is basically I absolutely, my passion has always been working with emerging artists, especially finding them, from the ground up. And this project speaks to that and speaks to really developing partnerships in the industry that are totally 50-50 partnerships where we're both making decisions together. We both respect each other. That's kind of the idea behind it. That's the why.
It's a beautiful why, and I think we don't have we need more of that. Well, I don't say we need anything. It's best that the music industry has more of that because it's even though we have the indie artists and we have all the wonderful things coming out of it, there's still the dark side of the industry. I think that's the safe word to say. And we have to be careful. You can go in the dark side, just have a little flashlight to help you around wherever you need to go so you're
Yeah.
navigating properly.
And there's a dark side to any industry, right?
Oh,
So
100%,
yeah.
100%. The shot. Let's move. Thank you for all your information on that, Kate. We got our questions in from some of our guests and from here the team here. The shot, really quickly.
Hmm.
Season 9 remastered, or season 2 remastered, whatever you want to call it. 27. We're on season 27. Why you are a resident judge. This is, how many years have you been in it now? This is your,
This is my
oh,
second
this is
year.
your second year. I thought this was a little bit more for you on that. So
No,
then
I'm a newbie with Eric.
okay, so then I had a great opportunity then having you last year, and I'm humbled for this relationship that we're creating. But tell us really quickly, why is the shot important, and how? Let's get the artists out there to register and get these auditions going, because there's auditions on Thursdays right now, right, on Instagram, and
Yeah.
so let's get, why the shot? Why the
I
shot?
mean, it's so there's so much going on in the world right now, and it's so hard to navigate what the right move is to make.
Right.
There's, this is such a great opportunity for artists because it just gives you a crash course in everything to do with the industry. So, as you experience yourself, and, there will be changes for this season as well. It'll all be online again. So it's really accessible to all the artists across Canada. And yeah, I mean, you basically get like, you can put your hand in every aspect of the industry. So you'll deal with publishing, you'll deal with songwriting, building your package, everything. And you get to network as well at the same time. You get to meet artists, you get to meet industry. It's a win-win
It is a win-win,
opportunity.
and you know what? And we're almost running out of time here for tonight. But again, I was trying to make it a little bit of a shorter show, just for time's sake. But I can't do that because I'm just enjoying the conversation so much with our guests, and especially you tonight. And I just going back to the shot, I can certainly say, and I will vouch, and I will be a spokesperson. I will definitely say the best thing the second best thing. But it has been one of the most amazing and best experiences I've ever had was being on the shot.
Oh,
I truly have. It truly has been, Kate, and I can say that because I as an artist in the music industry, I do this full time. I don't do anything else. Music for me is full time, and so I may have not have gone through the shots finish line, but I am at my own pace and at my own game because I've won so much getting out of the shot. Again, like you say, as an artist development program, this is, not just a competition. It is a hands-on experience, and I can tell you, I am so much more smarter and I am so much more educated. And so the shot, for those of you who are listening, is a must for any artist at any age to, step into the idea of owning yourself as an artist. And as Kate said, you will get those opportunities because they're not just there for you to be creating them. They are there to help you. And it's what you do afterwards with it. And I tell you, I have taken that knowledge and I have ran with it, and I am not giving that baton to anybody else until anybody else. I'm not giving it to anybody else until I need to. But it's on fire, so it's going to get hot soon. So I have to hand that baton off soon to somebody because it's on fire. Kate, give us a little bit of advice before we have our last moment for tonight with you here.
Advice for artists. Well, I have three main things. I've mentioned a couple of them already. First one is 100% know your sound, know who you are as an artist. And that means, what causes do you support? What genre do you play? Really get to know who you are as a person and as an artist. Two is be consistent, which I mentioned. Just make sure you show up even a little bit every day. It doesn't have to be something huge, just something little every day. And third is what I said before, be the CEO of your own business, because if you think of your career in that way, it becomes more than just the music. And as important as the music is, it's the main part of it. You really want to take ownership of your own self and of your business as an artist. Super important.
Absolutely. I agree with all three of those points. And just to add on to that, to remind artists, new artists or artists who are doing it, it does get easier. It's a habit, it's habitual, and it's
Yeah.
important that you keep a schedule. You hear all the managers say, make a schedule, do this, do that, follow it, or everybody in the industry, and run it as a business. And it may seem daunting at first, and it may seem like a lot from numbers to rehearsals to everything, but it does get easier. Kate, you are amazing. You truly, truly are. I'm so happy I know you. and I'm excited. I'm excited for the day that we can actually be together in the same room,
I
rocking
know.
out on the piano, having a great time. It has been absolutely a pleasure having you. Thank you so much. I just played the piano and there was no sound. That's what happens whenever you have an electric piano. Kate, I'm going to let you bow out. Thank you so much. Have a
Thank
fabulous
you.
evening, and
Have a great night.
you as well. And we'll see you soon.
Yeah, talk soon.
Bye bye.
Bye.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, Kate Davies, A&R label representative here tonight. I wanted to just really quickly announce that I didn't make a mistake, but I had said Kurt Cobain with Nickelback, and that's not. I was thinking of Kurt Cobain, and I always get that mixed up with Nirvana. I am a Nickelback fan, but not as much as I am a Nirvana fan. So I do like Kurt Cobain a lot. Nickelback. All right. So I just wanted to clarify that. And remember, thank you for tuning in tonight. Yes, we had a lot of fun, that's right. Oh, every single week we have a guest, 'cause spending time with me is the best. Have a fabulous night, everybody, ladies and gentlemen. I love you. Thank you for tuning in. And next month we are back to 4 amazing, great Canadian artists from across the country. Stay tuned, and we will make sure that you guys have that information on our social media. Have a fabulous night.